finally, in 1583, long after John Cabot, in 1583, Sir Humphrey Gilbert, or I'd say rediscovered Newfoundland, and finally in that year claimed it for the English. So it took a long time.
Thank you, Michael.
What are you doing here?
Well, I thought you said I could conduct an interview on your show tonight.
I said you could come back. I didn't say anything about interviews. I've got quite a lot now.
I think this is the perfect time to introduce our special guest on this evening's show. An unexcelled example of Elizabethan exploration excellence, navigator and ship's master, Edward Hayes.
Here we go again.
Hi, Ed.
Hello.
Buckminster Fuller, in his book Ideas and Integrities, points to the building and piloting of ships as one of humanity's greatest endeavors. These men combined knowledge of weather, stars, and the law of physics, along with ingenuity, guts, and plain common sense. It took a special kind of person to do that, and we're lucky enough tonight to have a special kind of guy with us. Ladies and gentlemen, from the 16th century, Edward Hayes. Great to have you on the show, Ed.
Well, I must say I don't exactly know what's going on, but it's great to be here.
Well, you're just back from a very dangerous and exciting trip. Where have you been, Ed?
Well, I have just been with Sir Humphrey Gilbert's expedition westward, representing the merchant adventurers of Southampton.
Hold on. So you're calling yourself a merchant adventurer as well as a navigator?
Oh, certainly not. No, no. Merchant adventurers, well, they're merely financial speculators. You see, they invest in our expedition and yet remain ashore in England, comfortable, safe, and sound.
Not out on the firing line, eh? Okay, did you have any difficulty in raising money for your expedition?
Well, yes, initially we did. You see, the Muscovy Company, which is more interested in a northeastern passage as opposed to a northwestern passage, held great influence in court, and they defeated every one of our petitions. However, Sir Humphrey Gilbert soon gained the favor of our fair queen, and she granted letters patent to her devoted servant, yes, allowing him to search, discover, and find any remote, hostile, and barbarous lands, provided, of course, they did not already belong to some Christian prince or people. Yes, indeed. He was told to make settlement, have governing power, and the right to dispense of any lands according to the laws of England.
Sounds like a good deal. But what did you find there, Ed?
A rocky and forbidding shore, yet with a very commodious harbor which was filled with fishermen. 36 fishing vessels of every nation, Portuguese, Spanish, English, and French. It seems they had been coming there to fish for most of the century. You see, the land, the seas surrounding that place are filled with an almost inexhaustible supply of codfish. Sailors would lean over the sides of their ships and dump buckets into the swirling masses of fish.
Sounds like the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, Ed. But what exactly, well, tell us more about the fishing industries.
Well, you see, it's not surprising, of course, because by an act of Parliament in 1563, the Queen had made Wednesdays and Saturdays fish days, you see, thus supplying a little bit of incentive to the fishing fleets of England.
Makes sense. Now, the history books tell us that your expedition had a rather tragic ending. Ed, in your own words, could you tell us about it?
Oh, yes, in sooth. It was a sorrowful sight. During a violent storm, I saw Sir Humphrey Gilbert's vessel disappear beneath the waves. It was the smallest vessel within our fleet, a mere frigate of 10 tons. Prior to our homeward voyage, We had begged Sir Humphrey to join us in a more commodious craft, but he said no, he would remain with his comrades. Yes, indeed, near the Azores, during a lull in one of many storms, I recall seeing him on the after deck, a copy of Sir Thomas More's Utopia in his hand, his favorite book. He called out to us, raising his arm to the skies, saying, "We are just as near to heaven by sea as by land." Later that night, the storm arose again, and whereof in a moment, beneath tempestuous, terrible seas, the lights of his tiny vessel disappeared from sight. We searched, but alas, to no avail. We could find nothing.
What a way to go. Now, there's one more question I just have to ask, and I'm sure we're all dying to know. Is it true about what they say about 16th century people and bathing?
Huh?
I guess I didn't have to ask that one.
Okay, look, that's just about enough. I'm really happy to have these historical insights, but look,
wait,
okay.
wait a minute. We're live.
Yeah, and it's my show.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not damage my reputation. We're gonna go to commercial break and be right back, I think. I hope.
Not on this show, you're not, buddy. Okay, now, look, I don't know where they come from, but they do bring up some interesting points. That the bit about smelling. Europeans, as they traveled, they went out, became infamous in all the areas they discovered for their smell. The people of the rest of the world couldn't believe how smelly the Europeans were. Europeans didn't